Rise and grind gears. My name is Tetsyumi, and welcome back to another Disgaea RPG Should You Summon. And guys, listen, you don't need to say anything because I already know what you guys are going to say, and I have been severely slacking on the Disgaea videos lately, and for that I do apologize. But honestly, it's just kind of, again, I fell off from playing Disgaea and all my other gacha games, to be honest. But I did, at the very least, want to come back and talk about the Re:Zero Collab crossover and go over some of the characters. Although I do recognize that this video is extremely late. But at the very least, hopefully I can help some of you who maybe also are as late as I am, coming into this collab. So with that being said, I'm going to talk more about this probably at the end of the video. But let's go ahead and go right into talking about some of these characters. So we have quite a few characters to go over, so I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. First off, we got our girl, not Rem. Just kidding, guys. This is a little Re:Zero joke for you. Definitely a big Re:Zero guy. Definitely watched more than 3 episodes before I got bored and decided to drop it. Anyway, we got Emilia here. So Emilia is a humanoid staff queen ally. Her stats are not terrible, but also not great. I'm probably going to go ahead and compare them to, I guess, like Meliodas, just because Meliodas was our last collab event character. So her health is not insanely high. It's actually relatively low. I mean, if we go ahead and compare this to Meliodas, Meliodas had like a 133. Emilia here only has a 113, and this is, as far as I know, kind of a prevalent theme throughout all this collab. Their health is all not insanely high. I haven't looked at every character, obviously, yet, because, I'm pretty much learning these characters at the same time you are. But yeah, it looks like, Beatrice, damn, Beatrice is even lower, only 109, terrible. Come on, girl, you gotta get that up. Anyway, Emilia's stats are not looking super high, but they're also not terrible either. Her speed stat is pretty high, and also her intelligence stat is really high. Her resistance stat is pretty good too. Her main attacks are going to be based off the intelligence stat, with one being based off the resistance stat, I believe. I think, yeah, this just main attack you get at level 200 is based off the resistance, but everything else is based off intelligence. So her intelligence stat is pretty high, so you're still going to be hitting relatively hard. Other than that, all of her stats are pretty mid. 31 defense, that's, pretty good, relatively mid. Resistance, again, not insanely high, not insanely low, it's around 40, so that's pretty good. But her main 2 stats are her speed and her intelligence. Moving on to her abilities, we have her leader skill, which gives intelligence and resistance by plus 14% for the amount of humanoid characters in your party. I think that's how it is. I mean, here we go again with the wiki just giving us the most batshit crazy descriptions for the abilities, but I'm pretty sure that is what it is. These stats will be increased by 14% for the amount of humanoid characters in your party. Then we got any +1 benefit of spirit arts. At the end of the turn, the attack and intelligence will be increased by plus 40% of the ally character with the highest speed, so the fastest character is getting an attack and an intelligence boost of plus 40%, which is pretty damn good. At any +5, she gets a Blessing of Spirits. Damage done by the party with attribute attacks is plus 15%. Again, pretty good, just doing a bit more damage. At any +7, she gets Must You Vex Me So? When you are equipped with a wand weapon, the debuff effect and abnormal conditions are invalid. So I assume the resistances up here, if, Emilia has a wand, she can't be she can't be debuffed, I mean, with the abnormal conditions, something. So one of these resistances, I guess, you can't get on you, which is good. Again, weird wording, I don't know why it does this. But this is good. Basically, if you have a wand, you can't be debuffed by a certain debuff. I don't know which one, maybe all of them, that would be cool. I don't know. Moving on to her skills, this stuff really confused me the first time I read it because, again, just weird wording of all of it, but I think I understand it now. So at level 1, she gets a basic ally buff, which is just giving them plus speed and intelligence of 15%. I don't really understand what this transfer all of your speed and intelligence thing means. But I'm just going to chalk it down to you're giving an ally a buff of speed and intelligence. So that's all you need to know is just an ally buff. At level 200, it's another ally buff, but this time it has 3 effects. It halves the debuff on an ally, it gives them a small amount of HP recovery, and it also gives them any recovery from abnormal conditions. So if there was a regular debuff, like, defense lower, that would half the time of that effect. If there was, like, you were paralyzed, it would remove that effect, and then it would also give a small amount of HP recovery. As far as I know, that's what it does. This wording is a little bit off, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And then at any +3, she gets this icicle line, which actually is an attack. Nope, I was wrong. It's not an attack. It is another buff. It is a single target buff on herself, and it's giving her an intelligence boost of +30%, which is actually pretty useful because so far she hasn't had any attacks. It's just kind of, buffing. Moving down to her magic spells, I'm going to kind of go over this a bit faster, but essentially, it's a few more ally buffs and some attacks. So at level 4, you get this, basic icicle attack. This is going to be based off the intelligence stat, so if you do manage to get yourself to any +3, give yourself, this intelligence boost, this will be doing a pretty decent amount of damage. Level 9, she gets this magic boost, which is just boosting an ally's intelligence by 20 to 35%. At 15, it's just a bigger AoE attack of this ice. At level 22, it's another bigger intelligence boost for an ally, and then same thing, Giga Ice and Omega Ice are just more AoE attacks, getting subsequently stronger. So overall, Emilia is 100% designed to be more of a support character. I mean, as is pretty apparent because she has basically one attack. I mean, you can obviously go all the way to 40 with her magic spells, but let's be honest here, most of us are not really going to get her past 15, so pretty much we're just going to be left with this single attack, and for the majority of her other skills, it's pretty much just ally boosting. This one in particular is definitely seen as really good, although overall, I don't really think I would put her super high on the tier list. She is a decent support, but in terms of my preferences, I would rather have a support that has, maybe at least a little bit of attacks, like Rosalind over here, or something even like Diane, where she's also kind of a tank as well as offering some support. So for me, I would probably put her somewhere around the A or B tier. I'm going to leave her in B tier just for now because I don't think she's anything insane. She does have some good support capabilities, but until I see her, maybe in action, see her do some more really beneficial stuff for the team, I'm going to leave her here, and, this could change. Moving on, we have everyone's waifu, Rem. So Rem is a humanoid axe pawn ally. Taking a quick glance at her stats, we can see that her attack stat is pretty high, with all of her other stats being mostly balanced, but a little bit on the high side. Not anything crazy. Overall very balanced, but as we can see, this attack stat is pretty high, so that is already giving me a key indication that she is going to be mainly an attacking unit, which is backed up by all of her attacks here, mostly being AoE based off the attack stat before we, get into the magic spells. But moving on to her abilities, we have her leader skill, Smile of the Oni, attack and HP plus 14% for the number of party humanoid characters in your team. Again, pretty much same as Emilia, except this time it's giving attack and HP instead of, I think what was yours, intelligence? I don't remember. Intelligence and resistance, yes. At any +1, she gets Rem will protect you. Damage caused by a water attack is plus 60%. So, if you get this, her attacks are going to be based off the water attribute. So all of her attacks are going to be doing, 60% more damage, give or take. At any +5, she'll get this self-defense flail. If you are equipped with an axe weapon, your attack will be plus 37% for 3 turns at the beginning of battle. Again, pretty good for wave clear. And then at any +7, she gets this Oni magic healing. At the end of a turn, recover allies with low remaining HP by 20% of their maximum HP. This, I haven't read this up until now, but this is an insane. This is a really good ability. Because of this word right here, maximum. So basically, if I have a character with 10,000 HP, he's down to like 1 heart. He's going to be healing, what did I say, 10,000? I forget. He's going to be healing a lot of HP because it's based off their maximum HP. So this is a really good support ability, even though she is not a support character, which we love to see. And moving on to her skills, we get level 1, El Huma, an AoE attack that also inflicts paralysis, which is really good. At level 200, we get this demonically inspired another AoE attack, and this time it will attack or defense lower the enemy, and also can inflict them with sleep, which again is really good. I love to see these, multi-functional attacks where it's not just an attack, but it can also, inflict some debuff or inflict some status effects on the enemy. Really good. And then at any +3, we get this twin-made Oni dance, which is a single target support, it looks like. Skill power to target of abnormal condition plus 10%. So, I think this is just increasing the odds that you will inflict a bad condition on an enemy, I think. Could be wrong. Also, again, I just can't really understand the wording. But as far as I know, if she inflicts this on herself, for instance, then it is more likely that she will inflict sleep with this attack or in paralysis with this attack. As far as I know, please correct me in the comments if I am wrong, if you have this unit. Moving on to her magic spells, we have at Mastery 4 this Ice, which is just a single target attack. At Mastery 9, we get an ally boost, which is going to increase their speed by 20 to 35%. At 15, we get Shield, which is another ally boost, giving them defense by 20 to 35%. At 22, we get another stronger AoE attack. At 30, we get another ally buff, which is speed 40 to 55%, and same thing at level 40, we get a defense increase of 40 to 55%. Overall, really good. I'm probably going to mostly be ignoring these and just kind of talk about these more because these are the way more easily accessible ones. So another just single target attack, pretty good, love to have it. You would probably mainly still be using these attacks up here, even though they are AoE. They're still probably going to do a bit more damage just because the intelligence stat, her intelligence stat was only 32 while her attack stat was 45, and this magic spell down here, this attack was based off the intelligence stat. However, this ally boost is definitely really good. You know, increasing the speed by 20 to 35%, that's pretty good. I will take that. Overall, I feel like Rem is actually a pretty solid attacking unit. I'm not sure if she's really at the level of God up here with, like, you know, Meliodas and Rosalind, Awakened Rosalind, that is. But she is still really good. So I'm thinking either, you know, S or God tier? I'm really not sure. For now, I'm probably going to put her in S tier. Might work on that a bit more later. But, you know, just judging off of her stats and, you know, nothing more, I think she is a very solid unit. And moving on, we have Ram. So Ram is another humanoid spear knight ally. If we go ahead and take a quick look at her stats, it is all, for the most part, lower than Ram's by a little bit, not a crazy amount. But honestly, I think she makes up for this a little bit in her skills and her magic spells, but we'll get to that a bit later. So her leader skill is Sister's Dignity, attack and defense plus 14% of party humanoid characters. Same thing as Rem's and same thing as Emilia's, just this time instead of, you know, attack and HP, I think it was for Rem, it's attack and defense. At any +1, we get Mana of Wind, damage caused by wind attacks plus 60%, again, same as Rem, except this time with wind, and all of her attacks are going to be based off the wind stat, so you're doing a little bit more damage if you get any +1. At any +5, we get Maid's Etiquette, I almost said that wrong. If you are equipped with a spear weapon, you get plus 22% speed for 3 turns at the beginning of the battle, which is pretty damn good. And then at any +7, we get Invoke Clairvoyance, which is plus 15% to her crit rate, which, I'll be honest, her crit rate's only 4%. Adding 15%, you get 19% from that. That is that is really not worth it. I personally probably wouldn't go for any +7 on her, but hey, I mean, she will do 140 crit damage if you do manage to get a crit, so maybe if you just really want that 19% crit resistance or crit rate, then go for it. Moving on to her skills, at level 1, we get this nice AoE attack, which also lowers the barrier count by 1 of any enemy. So I really can't, off the top of my head, think of too many examples where this is useful, but I do know that a lot of the raid bosses do sometimes have a barrier, so, you know, subtracting 1 to their barrier count could be pretty useful just to, you know, get in maybe an extra 1 or 2 attacks before they inevitably put it up again. Then at level 200, we get Steamed Potatoes, which is a party buff, giving everyone a little bit of HP and also speed up by 3%, pretty good. And then finally, at any +3, we get Big Sister Power, which is a single buff on any member of your party, which gives them an attack and defense of plus 15%, which is pretty good. Moving on to her magic spells, I'm going to kind of speed through these. At Mastery 4, we get a single target attack. At Mastery 9, we get an ally buff, giving them a buff of attack. Mastery 15, we get an ally buff again, giving them a resistance buff this time. And then at 22, we get another AoE attack. At 30, we get another ally buff, just a stronger attack buff. And then again, at 40, we get another stronger resistance buff. So all in all, I don't think Ram is a bad character per se. Although personally, I think I'm going to put her kind of a toss-up between A and B, if I'm being honest. Her stats aren't particularly low, but they're also not super great either. Definitely not good enough, I think, for her to be put in the S tier. I'll put her in A for now. But overall, I think she's just kind of a slightly worse version of Rem. I mean, if we're being honest, some of her skills are pretty useful, like especially this HP recovery skill. Although, also, you know, she isn't really a super attacking unit, and that is kind of evident by her stats, but at the same time, attack is by far her highest stat, and she's never really utilizing it, at least in my opinion, unless, obviously, you go to any +3, which, actually, I forgot, this is still not even an attack, this is just a buff. So yeah, she only really has one, you know, strong attacking move, that is, if you're excluding, you know, some of these, like, level 40 mastery magic spells down here. So overall, I think, you know, she's not a bad character at all. I just don't think she's quite on the same level as a Rem up here. Moving on, we have Beatrice, a monster physical bishop ally. Taking a look at her stats, nothing too crazy. Again, it's pretty, pretty level throughout the board, except for her intelligence stat, which is going to be relatively high, which is also what all of her skills are going to be based off of. Moving it down to her abilities, we have party monster character, attack and intelligence plus 14%. So again, same thing as Emilia, Rem, and Ram, except this time it's affecting all the party monster characters instead of humanoid characters. At any +1, we get I suppose. If you have an enemy with a barrier, all the damage you do is plus 65%, so a little something just to help you break through that barrier. At any +5, we get no forgiveness. If you are equipped with a monster magic weapon, your initial SP will be plus 35 at the beginning of battle, which is really good if you're just trying to save SP for some of the later rounds maybe, or if you're even doing some ad clear in the beginning, you get an initial SP of plus 35, which is really good. Then at any +7, we get Librarian's Whims. At the beginning of the battle, the party's monster character, attack and intelligence, plus 18% for 3 turns. So, looks like every monster character in your party will get an attack and an intelligence increase of plus 18% for 3 turns. So looking at her stats, we can kind of tell that she is going to be mainly a support unit. So at level 1, we get this ally buff, which removes debuffs and ability seal. At level 200, she get this drill-haired librarian. So it's another self buff, which gives her an increase of all basic non-HP stats by 30 to 40%, and also an AG of plus 200, which I think is like the speed gauge. So if you do this, you're getting, a bit of basic stat increase by 30 to 40%, and also you're pushing yourself further on the speed gauge so you can probably, pass 1 or 2 people that are in the back. Then at any +3, we get Librarian's Guardian, which is going to be a single target attack and debuff, lowering the enemy's resistance by 30%. Moving on to her magic spells, Mastery 4, we get the basic single target attack. Mastery 9, we get a single target attack again, except this time it'll bestow sleep upon the target, which could be really useful. Mastery 15, we get a basic AoE attack. Mastery 22, we get another single target attack, which this time will bestow paralysis upon the target. Then at Mastery 30, we get another stronger AoE attack, and finally at Mastery 40, we get another AoE attack, but this time it has the chance to bestow paralysis upon the targets. I'm going to go with my gut. Here. Beatrice, I'm going to put in B tier. And here's the reason why. I think Beatrice is very clearly supposed to be more of a support. I mean, that's pretty obvious just judging by the lack of, attacking skills she has, and also most of her regular skills, doing stuff like removing debuffs or even boosting her own stats by 30 to 40%, which not insanely great considering she doesn't really attack or do anything. But could be good. Obviously I don't know because I don't have the unit, I haven't tested her out. But also even her magic skills down here, I mean, it would be kind of a waste to even get her to mastery level 40 for her magic skills. So I don't really see this ever kind of playing into effect, which is probably the best skill she has, an AoE attack that can bestow paralysis. But other than that, I just think Emilia overall is probably a better support than her. But at the same time, I definitely don't think she is bad enough to be put into C tier. I think, at the very least, she deserves to be in the B tier. So, yeah, go ahead and let me know in the comments what you guys think of that. And obviously, all of these other guys that I'm going to be putting on the tier list. Everything here is subject to change as I, think about it. But initially, I'm going to go ahead and keep Beatrice in B, and we can go ahead and move on. Moving on to Oni Rem, we can see she is a monster physical rook ally. Looking at her stats, her attack stat is really high, and her defense stat is also pretty high, with all of her other stats being pretty average around the board. Moving on to her abilities, we have her leader skill, Oni Roar, the party monster physical weapon equipped characters, attack and defense plus 20%, so same thing, all monster physical weapon equipped characters in your party will get an attack bonus and defense bonus of plus 20%, a little bit too specific for my taste, but still pretty good if you can make that work. At any +1, we get Gifts of the Oni. At the beginning of the battle, basic perimeters other than your own HP are plus 27% for 3 turns. So that's pretty good. Just every other stat than your HP is getting an increase for 3 turns. I'll take it. At any +5, we get Howling Iron Ball. When you are equipped with a monster physical weapon, your attack and defense will get plus 32%. Again, that is just really good. I mean, you're pretty much always going to have her be equipped with a monster physical weapon because that is what her forte is. So, you're always just going to be getting an attack and defense boost of plus 32%. And then at any +7, we get Unstoppable Slaughter. At the beginning of the turn, if you are not full, the damage... I'm guessing if you are not full HP. So at the beginning of the turn, if you are not full HP, all damage you do is plus 65%. So this, actually, I haven't read until now, and it makes a lot of sense that this is one of her skills if we go ahead and look at these skills down here. because as you can see, what most of her skills are doing here is actually reducing her health a little bit. So obviously her first skill, Lunatic Flail Dance, is an AoE attack, but it also reduces her health by 5% of her remaining health. So obviously that's not ideal, because you never want something that you are doing to reduce your own health. That's just, you know, that's not great. But looking at this, you know, any +7 ability, we can see that if she's not at full health, she's going to be doing another 65% damage, which is really high. So if you can actually manage to get yourself the any +7 ability, and, you know, also you're just going to be doing a lot more damage pretty much. So looking at her level 200 skill, we get Power of Oni. So again, this looks like just another self-damaging thing. So it's going to be 20% reduction in your remaining health, which is a lot. But for that, you're also gaining an attack and defense boost of +25 to 45%. In all honesty, I don't think this is a great move to ever pull, because, you know, a 20% reduction in your remaining health is significant. I mean, that is a big chunk of your health. That's pretty much a quarter of your health just gone. But you are gaining a pretty significant attack increase and defense increase, so it could work out just depending on who you're fighting if you use this smart. Then at any +3, we get Rampaging Oni. Looks like, again, it's just going to be a single thing on herself, 10% reduction in your remaining health, but skill power is at critical time, so +10%. So it looks like it's another just 10% reduction to your remaining health, but all your skills are going to do 10% more damage, it looks like. So again, not terrible, definitely could be useful, but basically the whole motto of this character, as I can see from this, is damage yourself and do insane damage. So I guess that is not terrible. We're just gonna have to see, I guess, how that plays out in the real game. Now, moving down to her magic skills, Mastery 4, she gets a basic single target attack. Mastery 9, she gets a single target defense lower on an enemy, it looks like. So it's a single target attack that will lower the enemy's defense by 20 to 35%. And Mastery 15, we get another single target attack, lowering the enemy's speed by 20 to 35%. Mastery 22, we get an AoE attack. Mastery 30, we get another single target attack, lowering the defense by 40 to 55%. And same thing at 40, we get another attack, lowering the enemy's speed at 40 to 55%. So this character, this character is pretty insane. I don't think she's gonna be good enough to put in God tier, just because the sheer levels of the HP lowering and HP reducing she's doing to herself. I mean, basically, the best way I can describe this character is she is a glass cannon. She is lowering all of her HP, but at the same time, she is gonna be hitting like an absolute truck. So I think for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and put her definitely in S tier. Well, I say definitely. I actually don't really know. My gut feeling is put her in S tier. Maybe A tier. Like, maybe A tier. I'm going to put her in S tier for now. But I think just because of the sheer damage that she is about to do, she deserves to be in S tier. Because, you know, her HP stat is pretty high. But even if we look at, like, let's not look at Meliodas. Let's look at like Desco. If we look at Desco, I'm pretty sure Desco's HP, and she's just like a normal character you can get day one, is 135. So Oni Rem, being the glass cannon that she is, only has 120 HP. So again, not a crazy amount of HP, but she definitely makes up for that in damage. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stick with keeping her in the S tier, and just be careful, I guess, if you're using her. Finally, we have the last collab character, Oni Flonne. So Flonne here is going to be a monster magic queen ally. If we go ahead and take a look at her stats are all going to be pretty average across the board, apart from her intelligence stat, which is relatively high, which is going to be the stat that all of her skills are based off of. Moving down to her abilities, her leader skill, Charitable Oni, is party monster magic weapon equipped characters get an intelligence and resistance boost of 20%. Again, pretty standard, same thing as pretty much all the other event characters so far. At any +1, we get Oni Love. At the end of the turn, SP +12 of all of the ally character with the highest intelligence. So the highest intelligence character, when you end your turn, is going to get an increase of +12 to their SP, which is pretty good. Could help them just do another strong attack or even boost another character. At any +5, we get Full Powered Oni, damage dealt by special move when you are equipped with the monster magic weapon plus 55%. So you are probably gonna have her equipped with a monster magic weapon because, again, that is her forte. So she's gonna be doing an additional 55% damage just because of that, which, again, pretty good. You love to see it. And then at any +7, we get This is Oni Power. At the beginning of the turn, if the physical strength is full, basic parameters other than HP are plus 40%. So, I'll be honest, I don't know what this means if the physical strength is full. I could kind of understand it with Oni Rem, where it was like, if you are not full, which is like referring to her HP. Not quite sure what the physical strength is full means. But regardless, if this procs whatever it is, then all your basic parameters other than HP will get plus 40% for one turn, which is pretty good. I wish it was longer than one turn, but I guess it could be possible that this can proc multiple times. Again, not really sure how it works because the wording is a bit confusing, but plus 40% to all your basic stats is pretty good. Moving on to her skills, at level 1, we get the Oni Power of Love, which is going to be a party boost, giving everyone an intelligence boost of plus 20 to 35%, and also plus 50 on their behavior gauge, which the behavior gauge is the gauge that determines what characters go when in battle, so giving a plus 50% to the behavior gauge could just be that little bit of difference that makes all your characters go before the enemy characters, which could be really useful. At level 200, she gets Giant Mace Gorillion, which looks like an AoE attack, and also a buff on herself, which says in case of critical activation, intelligence plus 20% and gauge plus 200%. So basically what this means is if the AoE attack lands a crit on anyone, then your intelligence will be boosted by 20% and you will give yourself 200 plus on the speed gauge, which again could be really useful, especially because this is 200. That'll bump you up a lot faster, so you can probably go before a lot of enemy units at that point. And then at any +3, we get the My Oni Power, which again is just going to be a single target buff on herself. In the case of critical activation, it's a single target attack, and the buff is herself. In the case of critical activation, basic parameters other than HP are plus 70% for one turn. So again, if you get a crit with this single attack, then you are going to be increasing all of your stats other than HP by plus 70% for one turn, which is really strong. So if you get this to proc, then you can just go ahead and do like maybe just this AoE attack again. That'll do 70% more damage pretty much. Really strong. Moving on to magic skills, Mastery 4, we get a single target attack. Mastery 9, we get another single target attack, this time lowering the enemy's resistance by 20 to 35%. Mastery 15, we get an AoE attack. Mastery 22, we get another single target attack, this time lowering the enemy's resistance by 40 to 55%. And then at 30 and 40, we get more AoE attacks. I'll be honest here, I really don't think Oni Flonne is that bad. With that being said, though, I'm really not sure if she's quite on the level of A tier with Ram over here. I think she is probably, again, just going to be put on B tier. But all in all, I do like what she does. I mean, she's probably making everyone go a bit faster. She's doing a lot of intelligence buffs to your teammates. So maybe if you have a mainly intelligent-based attacking team, then she would be really useful. But I think for now, for the majority of teams and for this tier list, I'm going to go ahead and put her in the B tier here. And yeah, there we go, with Oni Flonne down here in B tier, that is going to be every character from this collab. So again, I do really want to apologize. This video is insanely late. I was actually planning on recording this video when the collab was first coming out, but I was actually going to be late to recording that video. So then I figured I would wait till these last two characters come out in their own banner. And then I did, and I was even later because I just I didn't have time to actually record this video. And now I'm recording it when we only have a little less than a week left of the event. But still, with that being said, I really do hope this video helps you in any way, shape, or form. And again, all of these positions are subject to change. If you guys think Ram is god tier, better than Tyrant Valvatores here, then let me know in the comments and we can get something worked out. But for now, this is probably where I'm going to be having everyone. Not super terrible units. I think a lot of them are actually very useful, especially these two Rems, and even this Emilia, I think, has a very strong place in a lot of teams. But yeah, with that being said, guys, that's going to be it for the video. So let me know in the comments if you want to see more Disgaea videos, and I promise if you do, I will work extra hard on getting them out. Also, let me know in the comments if you think any of my tier list positions here are wrong, which, let's be honest, they probably are. But yeah, with that being said, that's going to be it, guys. So like the video, comment, do all that stuff, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.